We're back with another episode. We're going to recap the 2026 PGA show, give you a few updates on what we talked about last week, and we're going to talk about Wilson Golf and the evolution that they're doing, the rebrand possibly that's coming up in 2026. Let's get into it. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Got back last week from the PGA show. Wanted to record that week after I came back, but from all the traveling and all the being around all the people, my body was wore out, shut down. I got wicked sick, crazy sick, incapacitated for like a week. Just awful. So we're back now. So when I was down at the PGA show, obviously you want to check out all of the new equipment, see all the brands, see all the people, new brands that came up, whatever. And that's all fine and dandy, but I do a lot of research on my own about clubs and equipment and, on brands that come up and things like that. But, I don't really need to see them in person, like of what all the new tech is or all the new equipment is. I don't really need to see it in person at a big show like that. What I'm there to do is find the little brands that make little accessories that you didn't really know existed or that you needed. And in the 4 days that I was down at the PGA show, I walked the entire show a few times and didn't really find quite the small little, like, unique little brand that I wanted to until I came across one brand called Putter Up Golf. And this thing caught my eye. It is if you've seen the putter covers that look like shoes, like designer shoes or collectible shoes or Jordans or whatever. And then sometimes maybe you even buy a little baby shoe size like 3 or whatever. And you take that shoe and you make it a putter cover. It's not actually a putter cover. It's actually a shoe, but you put it on your putter to make it a putter cover. This is possibly a brand or company or product that could now be both. It's a weighted putter cover, so it goes on magnetic like a normal putter cover, but then the top, what would normally be the top of your putter or the base of your putter, where like the design is of your putter cover, is now like a really heavy weighted rubber sole. And the weight of that sole and the shaping of it allows it to hold your putter perfectly upright, and it makes sure that your grips don't get wet on the grass, your grips don't get dirty in the grass. It's just easier to grab, so you don't have to like bend over and get your putter off the ground. It's good for at home, storing your putter at home, so you don't have to lean it against a wall or in a corner, or it could possibly fall over. You can put this essentially shoe putter cover on it, and it has enough weight on the bottom of it to hold it upright. Now, I think when the booth that I went up to, the table that he had, the gentleman only had the black and the white and one other design for the Masters in a green, like azalea color. And he didn't really have a lot of other options on display. And I sat there and talked to him for probably 15 or 20 minutes at his booth, and just brainstorming ideas, like all these partnerships he could possibly get in with shoe designers or shoe brands, or like just doing collabs with people to like make this into a little Travis Scott shoe, or make this into a little Jordan by partnering with Nike, or maybe partnering with Converse and making it like a Chuck Taylor, like Converse All-Star design. Like, I just thought that there's so many possibilities with this to partner with shoe brands or apparel brands to make it in the shape of different shoes or in the pattern of different shoes. And then it actually works like a shoe too, because it stands upright and it's got a rubber sole, and I just thought, like, there's so many possibilities to partner with that design that he's almost leaving money on the table if he's not trying to partner with these people. But anyway, it took me a long time to find a brand that was like a small, unheard of, unique item, like on the rise sort of thing. And this was the one that I like did a double take and stopped and had to talk to the guy about it. So that was a really cool like interaction at the show, other than obviously just all the other products and all that. It was really cool to stop and talk to that guy. So I don't know. It was super interesting. Recapping from last week, we talked about Vijay Singh rejoining the PGA Tour at 62, and I had a lot of questions about, whether he could keep up with the guys or not. Well, Vijay Singh made the cut at the Sony Open in Hawaii, finished tied for 40th at 5 under for the tournament, beating out Colin Morikawa, Keegan Bradley, Tony Finau, Cam Davis, who all missed the cut at that Sony Open in Hawaii. So clearly, I may have been mistaken there, and Vijay Singh can certainly keep up even at the age of 62. It's interesting to see what he's going to do moving forward. He did the one event in Hawaii on the PGA Tour, but then his next events were back onto the Champions Tour. So he's just going to pick and choose certain events. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what he does throughout the season, and what events he chooses to pop in on, and what events he chooses to stay on the Champions Tour. Brooks Koepka. Brooks Koepka did make the cut at the Farmers Insurance Open. He had a poor first round of 1 over par, which doesn't sound that bad, but it didn't look good. The whole round didn't look good. He was one of the leaders in driving distance. He was one of the leaders in shots gained off the tee. But his putting let him down so bad. He played great tee to green, but once he got on the green, he was essentially blind. But he followed up his first round with a second round 4 under and made the cut in the Farmers Insurance Open. He's making his second start of the season, being back on the PGA Tour at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, which is going to be interesting. A few weeks ago at the American Express, an 18-year-old PGA Tour pro by the name of Blades Brown shot a bogey-free 60, which was 12 under, in round 2 of the American Express, and he finished tied for 25th in the event. Now, immediately everyone's questioning is, who is this Blades Brown character? Well, he became the youngest golfer in history to win the U.S. Amateur Tournament, breaking a 103-year-old record held previously by Bobby Jones. He was the winner of 3 consecutive Tennessee State Golf Championships and had his last putt on the 18th hole dropped for 59. He would have been the youngest player in history to break 60 on the PGA Tour. He has ascended from an elite high school golfer to a Korn Ferry Tour player, and now he's on the PGA Tour in a very, very fast turnaround. It's going to be interesting to see how this young kid fares on the PGA Tour against these grown men. However, everything in his past indicates that he has been essentially raised and bred for golf. He was like getting lessons from a insane high-level teaching pro from a very young age, and he is pretty much the next protege on the PGA Tour that we're going to see for a while. So keep your eye out for Blades Brown in any event moving forward. And we will, of course, keep a tab on Blades Brown on this show, and we'll mention anytime that he's in any big event. Now, we talked quite a bit last week about equipment. I'm going to lighten the load this week with only one brand compared to the several I did last week. But the brand I want to talk about is Wilson Staff, or just Wilson. So Wilson, for some reason, and I don't understand why, is not the most successful brand in any equipment like space for whatever reason. They used to be, back in like several decades ago, they used to be the top thing in tennis and one of the top things in golf, and they made some of the best basketballs and the best footballs. But as time goes on, I don't know if they've just gotten stagnant, or their marketing has gone down, or if just other brands over time have come up and improved upon other things, or put more money into marketing or something. But for some reason, a lot of brands have come up and taken market share away from Wilson and Wilson Staff, and I'm not sure why. They've never made like an insanely incredible performing product, but they make high quality, like, standards for almost all sport. If you grab a Wilson tennis racket, it's going to be a good tennis racket. If you grab a Wilson golf club, it's going to be a good golf club. If you grab a Wilson basketball, it's going to be a just fine basketball. There's no issue with that. No one's going to be like, that's a terrible product, get that out of your hands and put it. Like, Wilson makes great staples, but for some reason they just can't get to this like top performing like tier, and I'm not sure why, because like all of their products are great, especially in golf. They make great products, but no one seems to want to buy them. They lean to the people who are putting a ton of money into marketing. Callaway's, TaylorMade's, Titleist, Ping, Cobra, but no one leans into Wilson Staff. If you go to a golf store, there may not even be a Wilson Staff rack for you to even buy product at, and I don't understand why. A few years ago, they made like the C3 irons, which were really good, really forgiving, high quality irons, but they were competing with the AP2s from Titleist and like the Callaway Apex series and things like that. And for some reason, they just either underperformed or just didn't have enough marketing budget, or just weren't doing well enough in the marketing space to pull market share away from these top brands and make extra sales until this year. They released a new club over the weekend, a new line of clubs, which is the updated version of their Wilson Staff model irons. They had a Staff model a few years ago, which was also a really good product. A lot of people would review it, and they would review it highly, but it just wasn't a top performer for whatever reason. They would say how good it was and how well it performed, but for some reason it just would never end up in somebody's bag. This year, the new Staff model irons, they have redesigned it. It is a new finish on the clubs. It's a much more attractive club, a much more attractive product. They've taken weight out of the heel and the sole of the golf club and put it into the toe of the club, which makes the club a little bit more forgiving. It brings the center of mass, the sweet spot, out towards the toe just a little bit, which is where most people miss, away from the hosel, which is where a lot of the blades in the past, the sweet spot on blades in the past has been. So the further you can push that sweet spot out of the toe, the more forgiving it's going to be. The one thing that they did with this, which isn't as appealing, to just the average golfer is they've taken the offset of the golf club and reduced it. So offset on PGA Tour players' clubs, a lot of them want minimal offset. So when you look down at the club, the blade is almost in line with the shaft. It's very straight, very square. It almost looks like a butter knife. The more offset you add, the more forgiving the club is supposed to be for a less skilled player. It helps to add loft. It helps get the ball in the air. It makes it a little bit more forgiving. You don't have to be so precise with the golf club that has a lot of offset. What Wilson did this year is reduce the offset, which makes it more attractive to a higher level player. So they're taking this club and not even necessarily marketing it towards the average golfer or the mass golfer. They're saying, hey, look, we have a high quality product at this tour level spec that performs really well. They released a driver as well. Nothing crazy insane about the driver. The irons are definitely where like a lot of the tech went. If you want, there's a really cool video on YouTube. It's about 6 minutes, made by Wilson Golf called Building Original, that explains the design process and manufacturing process of these new irons. And they talk to some of the engineers and designers. And it's a really, really interesting, well-produced video that I think is going to help them in sales a little bit. You don't get this kind of like conversational video with club manufacturers or club designers very often. So the fact that they're putting in marketing just in that aspect is a pretty good indicator that they're putting some money into the brand. A cool little tidbit in this video is that one of the designers, his name is Ben, and he is one of my former collegiate golf team members, teammate. He went in, he was an engineer in college, and he got a job with Wilson. I knew about that, but I didn't realize that he played such a role in the design of these clubs. I didn't realize that he had such a high role like that over at Wilson. So that's really cool, and I'm proud of him, and that's a cool little tidbit to toss in that video. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. The PGA Tour is at the Waste Management Phoenix Open this week, followed by the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am next week, which last year's winner was Rory McIlroy. And then the week after that, they'll be at the Genesis Invitational at Riviera, which last year's winner was Ludwig Oberg. So keep an eye on those tournaments coming up. Other than that, we'll keep this episode short and sweet, and we'll sign off. Bye-bye.